So for instance, you could get posters of, or blow up from your digital camera or from your computer, get them in full color, and just put them up on your vision board or put them up on your wall, have them on your desktop background, have them on your iPhone to constantly remind you and craft a new reality for you mentally. That not only is it normal for an older guy to date a younger woman, but it's actually normative in the sense that this is the way it should be. If you're a powerful man, you should have a younger woman. If you're a hot girl, you should have an older man. And suddenly, that switch changes. Instead of feeling bad that you're older, now you see, hey, actually, it's the way it should be, right? If you can do the same if you're a younger guy wanting to date older women, right? You just need to condition your mind to seeing that as the norm. So let's take that was old age, but let's say, you're 20 years older. The science doesn't show that women prefer men who are 20 years older when they're in their 20s. The science shows, well, they prefer men who are 2 to 5 years older. You're way older. This is not going to work. So in this case, maybe the problem is that limiting belief is actually true. See, then you got to do a little bit more research. So you ask yourself, well, why would women prefer men who are older? And the research shows the reason why is because men who are older tended to have more power, right? In caveman times and back in the day, if you were older, you had more time to amass resources, to amass social alliances, to amass power. Now, if you're at 45 years old and you have less money and less power socially than you did when you were 25, this is going to be a problem. Right? You're not increasing in social value. Therefore, that might be the reason why those women are not attracted to you despite your older age. Right? So then if it's a true belief, if it's true that your limiting belief is true, right, that your older age is inhibiting you, and in this case you would find it's not the older age per se, but it's the social power that you have, if that's limiting you, then you say, okay, if it's true, can I change it? Can I change it? I'll take another example of a limiting belief. I'm too fat to get girls. I'm too fat. Maybe I'm 200 pounds, 200 kilograms overweight. And this research shows, yes, that will inhibit you. That will prevent you. That will be a big disadvantage for you when you're trying to attract women. It is true, right? Maybe that's a belief, and it's limiting you, but it's a true limiting belief. So it does you no good to just, in the face of the facts, just conditioning yourself into believing, yeah, being overweight is going to help me. Because you can change it, right? Can you change it, yes or no? Now, if the answer is yes, then change it. And I'm so glad that I'm speaking before and after fitness talks and diet talks, because that is one of the the research shows that almost anybody's body composition can change, given the right amount of time and effort. There's no excuses for that. So if it's about your health or your diet, or that you're overweight, I've met guys who've lost 100 kilograms in a year, amazingly, through a lot of discipline. But it can be done. So change it. If you have a shitty lifestyle, if you live at home with mom in her basement, and all you do on the weekends is play World of Warcraft, change it. Right, that is a limiting belief. If you say, well, girls won't like me because I live in my mom's basement and I have no money and I play video games all weekend. Change it. There's no point in trying to reframe or condition that belief, because it's true and you can change it. But what about the ones you can't change? Now, this is where the money is, right? Everyone's wondering, well, it is true that I have this disadvantage and I can't really do anything about it. What are some examples of those? Well, when I was starting out 8 years ago, there were two particular limiting beliefs that haunted me that were very deep-seated, right? These were height and race. I was raised in North America, where it turns out that in America, the average height of an adult male is 5'9", or about 1.75 meters. It seems like Australia is about the same, 1.75, just judging by the height of the urinals. Thank you. All right, getting a laugh. So, it didn't help that I was on the basketball team and the volleyball team from junior high through high school, because every time I showed up on the court, I was continually reminded of how short I was. And then in junior high, we were all the same height, because puberty had just started hitting. So I could play forward on the basketball team, and I wasn't the setter yet on volleyball. I was a striker. And then we went to high school, and everyone shot up in height, and suddenly I was the setter and the guard, and I had to relearn the game. And it just became a lot harder to score in many ways. So that became, if I'm doing that was my passion, volleyball and basketball for 6 years or so. And then making making my passion remind me of my limiting belief was very hard for height. So it was a very deep-seated one. Now this is the second half of R&R. If it's true and you can't change it, you'll need to reframe it. And again, you're going to have to do research. That's the first step always. So I did some research when I realized, hey, I have to figure out this dating thing. The research showed that, yeah, the average height of the adult male in America was 5'9". But globally, it turns out, after just a little bit of research, the average height of the adult male was 5'7", 1.7 meters, which was my height. So I was average. Yeah, living in that society in America where the average height was taller, and I was playing basketball and volleyball and watching basketball a lot, I was continually reminded of how short I was. But actually, globally speaking, I'm average. That helped, actually, right away. But it won't help a guy who's 5'1" or 1.55 meters, right? But just that little bit of research already helped give me some more confidence. It also helped that I was living globally. So I was based in Beijing at that time when I was doing the research. And even though in northern China, I think the average height of an adult male seemed to be about 5'9" as well, it helped to know that, now the whole globe is my playing field, that I wasn't limited to a specific society or a town, that I could meet women and meet the love of my life anywhere in the world. And given that, then, I'm average there. I could, of course, change it partly. I think there is like height enhancement surgery, but it's incredibly painful and risky. So that wasn't really a real option. But have you ever gone through the New Rock stage? Is that New Rocks? That back in the day when they used to wear those crazy-ass boots that were really high, those pumps. I never, thankfully, went through that, but I did get boots that had a nice 2-inch heel that were very subtle, so you couldn't see them. But it didn't help because the girls at the clubs would wear 3-inch heels. So, I'd gain 2 inches, but then they'd still gain an inch on me, and then, of course, they're taller than me. So there's not that much I could have done about height. I did as much as I could. I also learned some body language tips, some presence. I made my presence bigger. I went around telling people if they ever asked that I'm 5'9", and they believed me, no problem. However, so you got to reframe that limiting belief. For example, I think of it like a handicap, actually. Like being shorter is a handicap in life when it comes to dating women. So it's like in golf. You just got to, if you score the same as the other guy, but you had a handicap, it just shows that you're that much better. So the limiting belief that I attacked it directly with this affirmation that it takes a stronger man to date a taller woman. It takes a stronger man to date a taller woman. I didn't even have to really add it to my affirmations list because it just seemed logical to me. But once I realized that, it became the foundation of how to attack this limiting belief, the foundation of that empowering belief. I dated these taller women. Did I mention that earlier before the break? The stories about, well, they would try to poke fun at me at my height when I first started dating them. They're very subtle jabs. But over time, those jabs started to disappear because I just wasn't bothered by them. And then they just moved on to other things. But what you find is with women who will challenge you, it's for your own good. Because they see these insecurities. I know a lot of guys in the pickup world who want to find a drama-less girl. There's all this talk about overcoming drama. I don't like drama. And it's great because if you have a lot of drama, you can't really focus on other areas of your life, right? But there's a reason why there could be drama. Like in a woman who otherwise is not going to produce a lot of drama, but when she's with you, is really pushing at you. She's doing that because she sees these insecurities that you really shouldn't have, and she thinks they're funny. She thinks you should get over them. But her unconscious way of doing that is to poke at you like that until you're so strong that it doesn't have any effect on you. Then her job is done. Then she moves on to the next insecurity. This is actually good for you, all right? So you don't want a girl who's just going to treat you with kid gloves, right? And none of these women did that for me. They just incessantly teased me about my height. So with the reframe, I then continued to do research, right? So even with that reframe, let me just show you how powerful that can be. I was doing way back in, 2008, boot camp with Nick Sparks and Jonathan Hudson in New York. And I just take these trips once or twice a year back to North America.